I wasn't leaving Buffalo to go to some P4 school that doesn't get any interest, that's always going to be bottom of the barrel. I was leaving Buffalo to contend for national championships. That's why I'm here at Arizona.
Welcome, Becky Burke, to the AZ Wildcats Podcast. We are very happy to have you on today.
Hi, guys. What's going on?
How are we doing, Coach Burke? It is an absolute pleasure to have you on the show today. We've been just dying to have you on, and we're super excited about this new era of Arizona women's basketball.
I am thrilled to be on. I've watched all of y'all's stuff. I can do that because we're undefeated right now, so I can still watch your stuff, and you're still talking nice about me. So I'm thrilled to be on. I'm excited about what we're doing here, what we're building, and I appreciate you guys having me.
Well, I will say Kevin is always nice. Kevin's nice all the time. That's one thing about my guy Kevin, is he's the nicest. I can get a little bit nasty from time to time, but I promise you that I'm very much locked in on this women's basketball season and willing to give it the time that it needs. I think that's a great place to start, where you have this passionate fan base that loves women's basketball, loves basketball in general in Tucson, but there's also that aspect of this is a program that has seen some pretty high highs recently, has somewhat of that expectation built up. But this is a new program. This is a new era. So how do you balance, somewhat of that year one pressure with also having that very passionate fan base that cares so much about, the sport and the program?
Yeah, I think I don't really listen to too much of the noise, and I really respect what's been done here, and I really respect the history here and the success that's been had, because that's ultimately going to help us continue to build this brand here. But what's done is done. Whether you have a horrible season or you have the best season in the history of the world, when it's over, it's over. You got to move on and you got to keep it pushing. So I really, really respect the past and appreciate it. But as far as our process and what we're doing, we're going one day at a time, full speed, full go, pounding the pavement to make sure we're as competitive as possible, as quickly as possible. I think everybody understands and knows it's a process. It takes time. But I don't want it to take too much time, and I don't think it will. So I'm really, really excited about what this year is going to bring for us and our team coming together really quickly. We're going to have 15 players that have never met each other, have never played basketball together, have never been coached by us, don't know me, don't know my system. And so we don't have time to waste. We've got a fan base that supports us. We feel it already. Our players are going to feel it the second they step foot on this campus, and we need them to stay behind us all season and trust the process, stay the course. This ain't my first rodeo. So I expect really big things.
Yeah, and you mentioned that this is not your first rodeo building a program from the ground up. That is honestly what probably impressed me and Damon about your resume the most, is that you seem to enjoy building programs from nothing into something. And we kind of wanted to ask you, what does it take from the coach's perspective to build a program from the bottom up in the modern era of college athletics, from your perspective, and how are you going to attack that at Arizona? Clearly, you've already started, but what's the game plan there?
Yeah, you have to recruit really good players, right? You have to have the talent. It doesn't matter how good I am on the whiteboard or X's and O's. It doesn't matter if you don't have the talent. So we've got to acquire elite talent across the country, and we're going to do that with the staff that we've assembled. And then you just talk about culture every single day. The standard we're going to set this year, the accountability, the level we're going to hold our players to in terms of championship habits and standards is going to be through the roof every single day. So just excited about laying a foundation and letting that carry us through, the duration of my time here. This first year is critical when it comes to culture and recruiting and getting people excited and keeping people engaged.
Yeah. And, one thing about basketball, working in an office, working at, a sandwich shop, the uniform is everything, right? And you've mentioned the new AZ Wilson shoes potentially getting the player edition for Arizona. Damon and I and our correspondent Erica Day, who also covers the women's basketball team, we took it upon ourselves to try to help you find your uniform as you try to build this program at U of A. And so we wanted to ask you, one, have you seen this? And two, what do you think of this?
Listen, we do a recruiting presentation every time we have a recruit on campus. And my assistant, Jenna, found this picture on the internet. I had no idea that it was you guys, but she put this in our recruiting presentation to just show our players that I'm building programs and put me in a construction outfit just to prove it. So just so y'all know, you've been part of every recruiting presentation that we've had. So I appreciate it.
Kevin,
That's
that
incredible.
is special.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you know what you've just done to our coworkers, the level of ego boost that we have just received. So we appreciate you for that on this fine Tuesday.
True. True.
But yeah, no, you do pretty much have a empty roster. Like you said, you're building it from the ground up. You're doing a lot of recruiting meetings. So a lot of people are seeing me and Damon's meme right now. And Damon, we wanted to ask her mostly about her mindset with the positives and negatives of having an empty roster. So can you kind of, because we as fans, we didn't really know, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? What's the coach's perspective on that?
I mean, I think you can look at it two ways, and I look at it as a positive because, I could have walked into a locker room of, 6, 7, 8, 9 players that I didn't choose. I didn't pick. I don't know anything about them. They may have some habits and some culture things from previous years that I need to correct and fix. And, there's always, the way of thinking that way. Like, I got to go handpick my roster. And I think that says a lot. And I think regardless of if we feel like we got the best talent in the world or the worst talent in the world, they're my human beings character-wise that I wanted to be around every single day. We think we got really good talent. We think we're going to be highly competitive. We won't know that for sure till they get here, right? But we think we did a really, really good job in the portal as best as we possibly could. But also, I chose them for who they are as people. And so ultimately, our culture is going to be really, really strong because of the human beings we brought in here. And we hope that we did our job as coaches evaluating their talent as well.
Yeah. And obviously you built that program and that culture at Buffalo, your previous stop. And, it cultivated right with that, the end of your season winning that, WBIT. But what, I guess, how hard was it to leave that spot given what you had built there and the relationships that you had built there? And I'm sure just the general, life things that you had foundations you had put into place in that area of the country. So how hard was it to leave that spot? I know that obviously you're thrilled about coming to a place like Arizona, but just speak to Buffalo a little bit.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I probably could get emotional talking about Buffalo, the city, the people, the university, my athletic director. I mean, this is a place that there was transformational growth in my career over the last 3 years and taking over one of the best mid-major programs in the entire country and leaving it better than I think I found it. That was a big challenge and we did it, And so I got married there. We had our son in Buffalo. We had the winningest season in school history. We sold out our arena the last game of the season. And it's just things that have never been done before there. It was a historical 3 years. The reason I took the job here at Arizona, and I said it in my press conference, this isn't a job, this is the job. And that's true. I wasn't just saying that so I would get people's attention. I'm leaving one of the best mid-major programs in the country with one of the best fan bases in the country to come to a place that's just as incredible when it comes to the program's brand and the history behind this program and the fan base. I wasn't leaving Buffalo to go to some P4 school that doesn't get any interest, that's always going to be bottom of the barrel. I was leaving Buffalo to contend for national championships. That's why I'm here at Arizona.
Love to hear that. I'm sure everyone in the chat absolutely loves to hear that. And you spoke about building that school from mid-major and having the greatest season in the school history and what it meant for that fan base, right? That mid-major fan base. With your experience as a mid-major coach, what do you feel like mid-major coaches can offer the more powerful brands in college basketball? And how is that experience going to help fuel your time here at Arizona?
I think I've sat in a head coach's seat, right? So I think anytime there's a job opening at the P4 level, ADs really probably wrestle with like, do I go get a Power 4 assistant who's got this big name or worked at this big school? I'm an advocate for head coaches that have been head coaches, regardless of the level, because I know I can coach my butt off. I've sat in that seat for 10 years at 30, 35 years old, right? I've sat in the head coach's seat. I've had the clipboard in my hand in those moments, and so mid-major coaches, Division II coaches, whatever it is, like I came up through the mud, you know what I mean? And so I have that appreciation for us as head coaches doing it and doing it the non-traditional way, and just like climbing and proving we can do it in at every level. And here I am, and so I put my money on a mid-major head coach taking the Power 4 jump, or a Division II head coach taking the Division I jump any day, because I've seen it work, and I know the confidence I have in myself, having been one of those people. So I always like to bet on myself, though. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah, and we wanted to ask you about your basketball ideology, but I think I'll start here first, because you've mentioned a lot about recruiting, and a lot of building this program is going to focus on what players you bring in. That's going to dictate the success you have next year, right? Can you tell us a little bit about what a Becky Burke basketball player looks like? Like, what are you looking for out there? We have Michaela Purdue on. She kind of described you as like a big sister, right? Like someone she just wants to hang out with all the time and talk about basketball. And I can see like how she feels that way. Like you're just like a friend to her, right? Like I totally get that, the way that you come across on the screen. So what are you looking for with recruits, and how are you fostering new relationships with this new role?
Yeah. Well, number one, Mickey's a dog. So her and I get along really well because I'm a dog, right? So what we're bringing in is elite talent, right? It's so much less about, we're going after the top 50 kids in the country. Everybody that's a top 50 recruit in the country, we're going after, right? But so is everybody else. So what are those other characteristics? What are those intangibles? What are those side categories that like you need to have to be successful in my program and in our program here, right? You have to have toughness. You have to have some juice. You have to have some personality. You have to be extremely disciplined. You have to eat, sleep, breathe basketball. Like if this is something that you're just interested in and not invested in, because there's a big difference, you will not have success here at Arizona, right? I'm wired a very certain way. I am as competitive as it gets. I eat, sleep, and breathe my job in this game. It consumes me to like the nth degree, because I want to be successful that bad. So if I'm coaching a group that the players aren't really wired the same way as me, there's going to be a disconnect, right? So you have to be tough, hard-nosed. You got to love the game. Like I said, you got to have some personality. I'm a coach that's like, I'm going to let you hold your follow through up for a little bit, right? I'm going to let you flex on somebody. Like I might let you get a little technical foul here and there. You know what I mean? And so like, if that's the type of head coach that you want, I'm for you. I'm it, right? And I am the youngest head coach at the Power 4 level. You're getting a very different experience with me as your head coach than you are probably a lot of other places where these head coaches are more public figures and kind of up on a pedestal. I told you, like, I came up out the mud and I'm not changing who I am. I'm on the court. I lace them up with the players. I'm sweating at practice, like, and I'm not changing just because I've arrived here at Arizona. So it's a unique experience, but we look for very, very unique characteristics. If you're competitive and you're wired a little bit like me, you're going to have a great experience.
Burke here is just speaking to our souls as Arizona fans, just hitting all the right notes here. But I know you already mentioned Michaela Purdue, friend of the program, Michaela Purdue, and obviously she is a dog. But also I know this is a little bit of like the bad no question, but I'm going to put you on the spot anyways. It's like picking your favorite kid. I don't want you to pick Michaela Purdue, but can you give us another transfer that Arizona fans, just a name and a player that, you can speak to that Arizona fans should be very excited for in this upcoming women's basketball season? You're
not going to love this, but I'm so excited about every single one. Sorry, I can't give you one. Like everybody that we brought in was intentional and purposeful, right? And I'm so excited about this group. They all were really, really, really good players where they came from. We needed immediate production. We needed immediate help. We needed to be competitive as quickly as we possibly could. And so, and again, I'm a big advocate. Go give me a Mickey Purdue who was top 10 in the country in scoring. I don't care if it's at the mid-major level. I've coached mid-major All-Americans who could have left Buffalo and went anywhere in the country that they wanted to. That's Tennessee, that's Arizona, that's UConn. They could have went anywhere they wanted to. A kid at that level that's getting it done with that production can play at this level, and it has been proven time and time and time again. And I think it's a little bit of an untapped market. And who better than me to tap into it, having come from that level with some of the transfers that we got this year. I think we got a beautiful mix of mid-major studs and Power 5 players that are going to produce at a high level. So I really, really think we did a great job. I'm so excited about them all. Obviously, I got to shout my girl Lonnie Cornfield out from Buffalo, just sight unseen, committing on the spot. Like, yep, coach, I'm coming. Wherever you are, I'm going to be. The kid is going to be a fan favorite. I promise you that she plays harder than anybody you've ever seen in your life.
Well, we appreciate you for taking the time to be on our podcast today. And when you mentioned Lonnie Cornfield, you also stole an assistant as well. You brought all the homies over from Buffalo. That the loyalty clearly runs deep there with you and your players. We appreciate you for being on the pod today. You were talking about Lonnie Cornfield being a fan favorite. Some people in the chat, I think, saying you're a fan favorite right now. We haven't even played a game, so we appreciate you.
Undefeated,
never lost at Arizona.
Everybody loves me. I'm the best coach on campus right now, undefeated.
The best winning percentage on campus, Becky Burke. We appreciate you for hopping on the pod today. Hopefully, we'll have you on maybe again preseason at some point, and we can talk a little bit more about X's and O's, but we appreciate you kind of hopping on the pod today and spending some time with us.
Appreciate it, boys. Thank you.